Hey everyone, this is Destinee. Welcome to my channel. I immediately go for my cards. um, I need to go grab a candle. One moment. Okay, I got my candle. So we'll put that over there. Candles are so important because they're like a spark of inspiration, and it's a good tool for channeling because it uses different elements to create flame, to create life and spark. So it's always important to have a candle around. Okay. So today my horoscope told me I use CoStar. It's a pretty neat tool that breaks down the day-to-day planetary energies that relate to you specifically. And if you have friends, you can, add your friends on there, and they can also do the same thing, and you can have access to what they may be going through for that day. So anyway, so today my horoscope told me to rest. And I'm like, well, what does that actually mean? What does it mean to rest? Does that mean just lay in the bed all day? Does that mean go to sleep? What does rest look like? Leave me a comment and let me know, what does rest mean to you? I think I am discovering what that fully means, because I'm a person that likes to think. I think a lot, and I think that's a lot of where my energy goes into on a daily is thinking. And I had heard or read somewhere about even thinking and thoughts can also drain your energy. And I think the goal of rest is to recharge, is to input more energy that is fulfilling, right? That will fill your cup without so much going back out. So I think if we define the goal, then maybe that would help to understand better what rest is. I like to rest, but I also like to move. I like to, get things done. But I notice sometimes I may not always feel like that. And lately in my life, I'd say over the last few years, I have been feeling a lot more, I guess, just a little more depleted. And I think what's coming to mind is like, I think I have like this big reservoir within myself. And this reservoir, right, is, I think over time, from when you're young, you fill up this large reservoir, right? This large space within you of energy and experiences and things. And I think when you're constantly, when you fill that up so much, and then when you become an adult, you start to ease bits and pieces out of your reservoir, through your dam. The dams, I might even be totally saying it all wrong, but a dam, you're able to sort of close it and open it. There are certain bodies of water, if you look, online and stuff, you can see there are dams that sort of release water, and then, at certain times, and then they cover it back up, right? And release less water or hold water. So, I think, what has happened over the years is that I've poured too much. I've poured too much out. Too much out of my dam, out of my reservoir. And was not properly being refilled back. And I think that is the part that when you become depleted is, how do you fill yourself back up? Can you imagine a lake running dry? How does it become a lake again? How do we add more water? I mean, can we? Just some, random thoughts and everything. So I am, I guess, trying to learn again how to rest, how to refill my reservoir as an adult. I think I really like that word, reservoir. I keep wanting to pull some cards, so let's do it. I hope everyone's well. There's a lot of heavy energies right now. I know for me, I've got, a lot of stuff going, a lot of planets, a lot of transit planets aspecting my natal planets, and at very close conjunctions right now, because we have Mars, I think Mercury in Scorpio right now, and I have a couple of placements that are in Scorpio. I have specifically Venus in Scorpio, and that is my chart ruler. So I'm really having this experience right now of, like, I think transforming my desires and, what's important to me, and also things in my love life, all the things that are Venus ruled. And when Venus is your chart ruler, it has this profound impact not only on just that area of your life, but it can almost be like sort of a overall transformation. And I completely feel I completely feel that right now. And it's also making me want to create, wanting to open up more. I am typically a thinker, like I said, so I'm always thinking, and so I am wanting to balance that energy, thinking with I guess action, but horoscope said to rest, right? So I guess I'm stubborn. That's my Taurus rising. Anyways, let's move on from that. Let's see. What is the energy for today? Right. Oh, gosh. Okay, I had to drop a couple cards. Okay, so a couple cards here came out. This is so crazy. So, yeah, this perfectly aligns with what I was just talking about, right? Not directly, we didn't specifically say anything about trust, but I think it's like there's an element of trusting what is happening, right? And I think this is really giving me to trust yourself. Trust that you are, where you need to be, and trust that whatever your body needs, whatever you need, you can accomplish it, you can do it. And I think it's just like trusting your boundaries, trusting protection, trusting this transformation, right? Because I think it's causing this magnetic energy that will naturally just attract whatever it is that you need, whatever it is that you truly desire, right? Okay, I'm also getting trust in the stillness, trust in the quiet moments. And maybe that's what it's like to rest. Rest is also congruent to trust, right? Because you have to trust that in sitting still, that everything will be okay. Sometimes I'm getting like when we rest, we are essentially recharging and not giving out. And the outside world projects the illusion that we have to constantly be giving out. And if we don't give out, if we don't physically do things to make things happen, then inevitably we feel like things fall apart, right? But what if that's just not true? What if the most easiest way to let things just unfold the way that they're supposed to is if we just rest? I had came across this video on YouTube. I didn't watch it, but the title of it was a woman's first priority is rest. Because I think naturally we are receivers, right? Naturally we just exist and things will come to us, and whatever comes to us, we alchemize that, we reflect that back to the outside world. So I think that's why there's an element of protection. Like, women need protection because we are naturally receivers, and depending on what we interact with in the world is what we project back. And if, as a woman, if you look around and your life is not pleasing or what you want it to be, then you have to take a look at what you've been receiving, right? What have you been receiving for yourself? Have you been receiving love, care, nurture? Have you been receiving, tenderness, peace, even finances, Can you receive money, you know? Because as women, we amplify anything. So if you are in a space of lack right now, it's because you're not receiving, right? But I just had a thought too, maybe that's a good thing in the moment, right? Sometimes that might be a good thing. Maybe you don't need to receive anything from the outside world right now. Maybe you are supposed to give to yourself and recharge that way, right? I just thought of the Magician card, right? The Magician is a manifester, right? It is the first card after the Fool, right? And if we look at the Fool card, let's see if I can find it, right? Let's see. Where is the Fool card? Let's see. Where's the Fool? The Fool. I wonder why they called him the Fool. Not just like a wanderer or something, or a risk taker, or a go-getter or something like that. I don't know, maybe it sounds cooler, but I think I'll have to do some research on that. Okay, so there's the Magician. Let's see. Oh, he's hiding. Okay, there we go. The Fool, right? Okay. So, we have the Fool, right? If we look at the Fool card, he doesn't have much, right? He's carrying a wand, what appears to be a wand, with a little backpack on it. He does not appear to be wearing like a jacket, but he's got like a light robe on, right? He's got his shoes, he's got his little dog. Right? So, the Fool, right? So, what I was wanting to say is the Fool has nothing. And through the journey, the next step is he becomes the Magician. So here it looks like he's traveling, right? He's walking. You can see his legs separated. He looks like he's about to jump off this cliff here. There's movement. And then you get to the magician and he's standing. So the magician has all these like tools available to him. But you got to remember, he's coming from this. So he doesn't have much either. And what makes the magician so powerful is that the magician is able to look around him. He doesn't have much, but he can use what is around him to create more. He doesn't need to have all these things because he's got whatever tools he has. He's got a pentacle, he's got a cup, a sword, and a wand, right? It brings me to, when I see the Ace of Wands or the Ace of Cups or the Ace of Pentacles or the Ace of Swords. These are gifts, right? These are gifts that come from the divine. We don't have to work for these. These are already available to us. Our love, emotions, our expression, our emotionality, these are things that are gifts that they are already available to us. These are like opportunities. And what we do is in the magician, we take that and we create something from that. I just like needed a minute. That was quite a message. We are given gifts of element. So to replenish ourselves, instead of offering this to others, instead of the gifts that we have around for others, which, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying to not share or to completely just cut the world off from the gifts and the tools that you have. But might be a time to put this to yourself, right? Maybe it's time to use these gifts and put to yourself. Kind of want to get another card from the tarot. Let's see. We pulled a couple of those oracles. Let's see what we get in the tarot here. The devil. Why did the devil come out? Maybe this is what we was talking about, where feeling like stuck, because the devil, it's energy of possession. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing possession. And because I think it's a major arcana, well, not because I think, because I know that it's a major arcana card, it can represent in any area of life. So feeling trapped in the mind, feeling trapped by material possessions, feeling trapped by emotions or, thoughts or lust, sex. The devil brings attachments. Because if you can see, there's two people that's like chained here, right? They're chained. And they don't look too happy. This card also reminds me, and I remember reading somewhere as I was learning and developing my skill for tarot, right? It looks very similar to this card, right? The Lovers. And they both add up to the same number, right? But if you look closely, you'll see a couple of small differences. So the woman, right? If we look at the woman here, let's see. If you look at the woman in the Lovers, she's looking up towards this divine being. I believe that is Archangel Michael. I'll have to look that up and see. But I believe that's Archangel Michael. And she's looking up to that divine for guidance. And look, but they're free. They're not attached to anything. The focus here for the woman is on the divine. And this man here is focused on her. Right? Okay. Let's hold that for a second. And then you've got, if you look here, I could barely tell which one the woman is. But if you see, I think this is the woman here. Yeah, of course. Well, she's got the breast. Oh gosh, this is YouTube. Crap, I'll probably have to edit this out. But anyways, it's all good. So if we look here, there is, this is the woman. And she's not looking here. It's almost look like she's looking outside of herself. And almost looks like she's slightly like, I could just get some like animosity energy here. Like, she's pissed. She's not happy. And he's not happy either, because he's got that one hand on his hip and he's looking down at her, and you know, he's not looking ahead at her like in the Lovers with open arms. He's looking down at her, almost like he's looking at that private part down there, right? So what this tells me too is that women are the silent leaders, right? Because we're so receptive, so we have to trust. There has to be more of an element of trusting when it comes to guidance. And not so much on men or things outside of us, but trusting in God and the divine, in divine guidance, trusting in what we receive through God, right? Or the divine. Because in this essence, we truly be in our essence, and men, you know, the builders of the world, are able to put that energy out into the world. They're able to go out and go forth based on, the reflection of the woman. So I think we kind of got off in a bit here. I can totally go down rabbit holes with this, especially when I just get so many messages, right? But I think the overall thing is that, like, using what's available to you, to recharge yourself, whether that's, pulling a couple cards for yourself, right? Making a video, talking to yourself through the video. Lighting a candle that smells really nice, something that's pleasing to the senses, that makes you feel good, but also doesn't overload you, because that's what happens in the devil is you get overloaded, you get overstimulated, and you feel trapped, and you can't move. It's a false sense of peace and rest. Because even though you're not moving, you're stuck. You're stagnant. Let's see what else comes out. Let me put these back. I'll just leave it there, I guess. What else? Oh, shoot. Saw a couple cards there. Yeah. Ten of Swords. Yeah, there's some heavy energies around. I'm getting, with this, self-betrayal. When we don't follow divine guidance, we betray ourselves. And I guess for me, I think understanding deeper how to really see divine guidance, how to be clear so that we don't betray ourselves. But I'm getting also, in the midst of this betrayal, there's an awakening that happens. There's something that rises within us, because pain is one of the biggest teachers. I'm getting Saturn energy. That makes sense with the Devil card. This is Capricorn, Saturn energy. It's a teacher. What else? I'm hearing too that you have to die order to be reborn. You have to die in order to be reborn. You have to die in order to be set free. Wow, there's some heavy energies around right now. The Nine of Swords. It's a painful process. It's not easy. There will be a lot of sleepless nights. A lot of anxiety and worry. It can almost feel like losing hope, you know. But I'm getting that this is a lot of mental energy. So this devil here is bringing a lot of mental energy. Maybe there's a lot of you right now that are feeling very trapped mentally, and you're trying to kill this part off of you. And it's difficult. Some could be mourning the loss of someone. The loss of someone they were attached to. Or something they wanted to be attached to. I keep wanting to grab more. I'm just like, this is some really heavy stuff. I hope peace comes to everyone watching this. I get there's like, I was hearing sneaky energy, right? I'm also getting that, like, you know, you're allowing, you know, these thoughts to enter your mind. You're allowing these worries to consume you. I feel like you're trying to move away from that. You're trying to move away from that, but you still take a little bit with you. Because you're still sort of looking back. You're still sort of looking backwards to, you know, what this could have been. You know, it's not clear, but you're looking back at what this could have been. Maybe, you know, this is a partnership. Maybe this was a decision that you made. I'm getting that there was a decision made because next card that came is the Hierophant. The Hierophant brings tradition and values. What do we value? What is it that we can take from this? There's also, I'm getting discipline, right? There's an element of discipline here. What can we take from the experience? And how can we develop more of our values and what is important? Ooh, this is speaking right now. What can we learn from all of this? How can we develop our own tradition, our own morals, our own values, and then following them faithfully, allowing vulnerability, allow humbleness. This card is also very spiritual to me, because the Hierophant is a spiritual leader. He's like the Pope. You know, he's someone ordained to guide. So maybe some of you are ordained to guide others. But how can you do that if you're still living in this energy? Right? You're still looking back at these traps, when you really just need to let it go. Because it's all in your mind. You're not actually stuck. If we look again at these chains, right? Look how big these chains are. Look how big the chain is around their neck. They can just take it off. Just take it off. Just take it off. And face yourself. Commit to yourself. Commit to God. Okay, I'm going to pull another oracle. When you free yourself, let that fire within you ignite, that new spark of life. Free yourself from those chains. I'm also getting, use your voice more. You see, this woman, you know, there's this mask that's around her neck, almost like she slipped it off. And she's about to speak something. She's about to say something. She's about to get it to your ass. That's what that is. Okay, let's see. What else? Let's do one more. One more card. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This makes me happy to read for you guys. And I'm learning so much with myself. King of Cups? Okay, wait. We're going to do another one to clarify this King of Cups. Okay. Alright, so as you're igniting this passion, I think what this is asking you is to be more creative, you know, and also have a little more emotional control. And not in the sense of like, don't speak your truth, but make sure that you understand your emotions and what you're going through before you speak, before you act, before you do something. And even if that requires just you taking a little bit of time, you know, the King of Cups is patient. He's very kind. The King of Cups is emotional, but he knows how to wield it properly. He knows how to wield his cup. He's got a big cup here. He's got a really big one. He's got so much love, so much to offer. I think this is also asking too, like if this is any ladies here, you know, develop more of the emotional control, um, the yang side of things, the more masculine. Not saying to be masculine, but the thing is, as single women, right? As single women, we naturally don't have a male masculine protector or counterpart next to us, right? In the physical. So we have to balance these energies within ourselves. We have to cultivate this within ourselves, a masculine presence that protects ourselves. When we're single and we don't have that protection on the outside, it's because we have to do a little more work, right? A little more work on our own control, our own masculine protection within us. And that requires discipline. The King of Cups is very disciplined. You see, like if you look, you know, look at these waters. There's all these turbulent, these look really turbulent. I mean, there's waves on waves on waves. Looks like he's in the middle of the ocean, right? The vast ocean, because those are his feelings. The ocean, the King of Cups, the ocean represents his intense feelings. He has so much intensity. But look how grounded he is. He's firmly planted on his throne in the middle of the ocean. Doesn't matter what's going on around him. He's grounded. And while he's grounded, he's planning. There's an element of aloneness with this, right? He's alone. But there's peace here. There's peace. There's finding peace. There's looking out to what do I have? What is available to me, right? When you can ground yourself, ground that fire, right? You're grounding that fire. You've done that. You've grounded the fire. You've grounded that ignited passion. And now you're looking forward at what you can do with it. What can you do with that? What tools do I have available? The Two of Wands is like this, planning stage. It's like you've been given the element of Fire of Wands, which is like the first element, right? It's the first element. They all come from that initial spark, that Aries energy. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, it's the baby, right? The sun, ruled by Leo, which is the second fire sign, is exalted in Aries, because, it's almost like that unlimited tapped fire and potential. And so, how do we project that into the world. It's time. You have to plan. You have to observe. We cannot just act right away. You have to master and develop these elements. You have to master the element of water, of your emotions, of these gifts. You have to understand them. And how do we do that? By seeking the divine, a higher power. And be patient and wait for these gifts to be given to us. How beautiful. Okay, we'll do one final oracle and then we'll close it out. One final oracle. I feel so much newness coming though. It just feels a little like scary because it's like, have you ever been so free before? Have you ever been so open before? Use your pain to create. One final oracle. Passion. The soul. That's what comes from that. And this is what I'm getting. This is the new element that we're learning before we fully receive it. It's the element of fire, passion. Feeling that passion inside to go after what we want. To rest if we need. Feeling like you are enough. I also get that like passion is healing. It helps you to release your emotions. Anger. Don't be sad, okay? Everything is going to work out if you just trust and you just keep going and allow the divine to bless you and just go with your process, right? Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. I really enjoyed reading for you, and yeah, take care.